Good morning. So, this is our first day of lesson plans in our new format. Now, this was done so we have a consistent format across our school. So, if you have children in different grades, you'll notice that you have gotten this format lesson plan as well as in other grades too. So. So this is our first slide. Our next slide says digital learning info. This just tells you updates on social media, Bernie's Twitter and Facebook accounts. And then also, here are the emails for all of our first grade team, including Miss Deep Narain, and she is our ESOL teacher, which is English as a second language. So if your student speaks a different language at home, then you can work on ESOL work at home as well. The next page says different at-home learning websites. Now, some of these are ones that we don't do. Mentoring Minds and Typing Club are typically done for grades 3 through 5. So again, those are typically not first grade things that we do. But other ones that we have, we definitely have Zearn and Fast Math and Epic. And this is just kind of another page for you to use if you wanted to go and do some other web-based learning activities. So day one of our learning. Now, I unfortunately didn't proofread this well enough, and our math, we are a little bit in a different math track than some of the other first grade teams. I did a couple extra pages in our math tally chart area, so we're a little bit behind. So we're working actually on page 635, and I will do a video that will go on 635 all the way to 638. And again, if you don't have these pages at home, it's okay. You can just follow along and just say the answer out or write it on a different piece of paper. The reading lesson. So our reading lesson says study the anchor charts or on drawing conclusions. Now, anchor charts mean charts that we would typically put up in our classroom that kids could use as reference when they're solving different things. And it's a help for the students, although it adds a lot to a lesson plan and it looks really confusing, but I'm here to tell you it's okay. So read examples on the Monday page. Read how they're used. Read how they used examples and how the clues came up, how they used the clues and came up with the conclusion, and then complete the worksheet. Now again, if you have a printer at home, please feel free to print it and actually complete the worksheet. If not, you can certainly do it online. You can read the screen and write it on a piece of paper. Writing, we're doing some more writing prompts again. So writing prompts are just things that students can use and write just a few sentences. These are actually come from the same page that we got our other writing prompts from. And, write 1 or 2 sentences. And if you feel the urge to keep writing, oh my gosh, there's no limit to the writing that you can do. So our writing prompt for today is, what do leprechauns sound like when they sing? And I wrote an I can statement. Says, I can use my imagination to write fiction. And using an I can statement is where you would write, your students will probably have knowledge of this. I write I can statements on the board. And this is what you're going to be able to do after the lesson. So I can use my imagination to write fiction. And then again, pretend you're a leprechaun and imagine singing. What would it sound like? Write about it. And the ESOL link is for those students who speak a different language at home. it says Miss D put some lessons up that says follow a link that directs you to a YouTube video describing nonfiction text features. Please identify the nonfiction text features. And this should be something that your students are pretty familiar with because we have talked about nonfiction text features before. And if you want to do just extra work, extra interesting things, go right ahead and you do the ESOL work too. So let me take you to the reading. So here we have drawing conclusions. Here's what we'd have as our anchor charts. We would typically print these out and put these up on an easel and use these throughout the week of our teaching. So this one, the first one right here says drawing conclusions, using what you already know to figure out what people will say or do. So this is a little bit like inferencing, which is the kind of the same thing. We're inferencing our conclusions. We are figuring out what will happen at the end of the story. And we use a lot of complicated words for not such complicated things because we're preparing our students for future when they're going to be used. We're going to be continuing to use the words inferencing and drawing conclusions throughout their school lives. So we want to give them those vocabulary words in the beginning so they can keep using it. But our second one says drawing conclusions, using clues from what you've read to guess what the author is talking about. And then here we go. So for example, I sleep in a crib. So what do you know about that? I know that babies sleep in cribs. Adults usually don't sleep in cribs. And the next one says, I drink from a bottle. I know that babies also drink from bottles. And the next one says, I cannot walk or talk. Again, I know babies can't do those things. So the question says, who am I? Well, we already know all these things. And as adults, we would immediately just know I must be a baby. But we want to make sure that the kids are thinking about their thinking and understanding how they come up with the answer. So it's a lot of work that goes to a pretty simple or, a simple answer. But it's one of those things where we're getting the kids to think about their thinking. So the next example says, put me on your feet. I will keep you warm and dry. You wear me when it rains. So again, we're thinking about putting things on our feet. We usually put shoes on our feet, right? And socks on our feet. I will keep you warm and dry. Both of these things keep us warm, but only shoes keep you dry. Wear me when it rains. What do you wear on your feet when it rains? Or what protects your feet when it rains? Rain boots. So again, these are some examples that we would use in our teaching, and we would have the kids explain what's in the green right here, kind of their own thinking. So our first work page for today in reading says read the sentences in each box, answer the question that follows the sentences. So in our first box right here, I live at the zoo. I have black stripes. I have white stripes. I am about the size of a horse. What animal am I? Think about it. Use those clues and answer that question. And you can also just write it down on a piece of paper. You don't have to print out this worksheet. The next one says, I am something outside. I have a lot of branches. I have leaves. I can give you shade. What am I? This next one. I am in a building. My teacher is here. There are many desks. My classmates are here too. Where am I? And the next one. I have many pages. There are words on my pages. You can learn things from me. You can read me. What am I? So again, pretty simple things, but it takes a little bit of thought process to get to where kids are understanding the clues and then answering them correctly. So here are some links to our oi sound. Now, oi sound is called a diphthong, and that's one of my favorite words in phonics. Diphthongs are words that have vowel sounds, and they're made by different letters. So right now we have oi, which is O-Y and O-I, like in boy and coin and toy. All right. So here is our book. This is our book, cut and pasted in a little different way. So you can feel free to read this book, and I will also put a reading of this book on our YouTube channel too. So this is some number talks, and I'm going to do number talks and math in a different video. So day 2. So that was day 1 of our distance learning, of our new format of distance learning.